Coming to you live from Miami International Airport at 10 a.m. It's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and would you like to hear me tell a joke? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Go fuck yourself. I've spent the last 11 years chasing my two co-hosts, and I finally have them where I want them. First, he's the James Bond of the sky. It's Chris.
Hi. I can't think of anything funny that he says.
Other than knock knock again.
Yeah.
And secondly, half the kids his age are on dope, throwing rocks at police. It's Andy.
That's probably true, actually.
I thought that was the most single random line in the whole film
Yep.
that Mum hit out with. We're the 10 Point Podcast. You must know that by now. This is like our 1700th film we've done. So yeah, if you followed us along, we're on 100 and something episodes. 10pointpodcast.com is where you can find us. Anywhere that podcasts are on the internet, you can find us. Just type in 10 Point Podcast. YouTube and on Spotify, you can watch us talk about the film that we're talking about on the podcast, on the old 10 Point broadcast. You can check us out with a silly background.
You still have to watch the news from 2 weeks ago because it's
Yes.
the most entertaining thing ever.
Highly recommended. The fans are going wild for Chris on his phone and just panting on the previous news episode, not this week's news.
I refuse to watch it.
So we are the 10 Point Podcast, 10pointpodcast.com. I'll do a warning now. This is going to be our last episode, we think, for a couple of weeks.
Summer holidays, bitches.
Holiday time, and we're going to be busy, and we'll have extra special.
We need a break, it's too stressful.
Special episode when
I'm
we come
going
back.
bald.
So when I pick at the end of this episode, I forgot to clear that. I think it is me to pick, and my selection will be in a couple of weeks' time, and then we'll get back on board for the autumn. And that's really it. So I say everything I say at the beginning. 10pointpodcast.com. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, tweet messages, send us questions, reviews, anything. We want to hear from you.
Money.
Once again, we hear from about 5 of you. There's way more than 5 people that ever listen.
Yeah,
But
we're proper international podcast status here.
nobody
like,
ever.
We're getting free shit now.
Yeah, nobody ever wants to tell us anything, whether it's good messages back. We don't even get hate mail. We don't even get spam. People just don't bother with us.
The problem was, early doors, the very first fan that contacted us, I might have lambasted instantly on Twitter. And everybody just doesn't contact us now.
Yeah,
I'm scared of Andrew's
Scared of
laugh.
But there you go. 10 Point Podcast is us, 10pointpodcast.com. And we better get on with the point of the podcast. Point number 1. What is the point? The 2002 biography crime drama Catch Me If You Can. Brought to us by Dreamworks Pictures, which we have somehow never done before. This is the first ever
What?
Dreamworks picture. So I will leave that be, and we'll probably come back to it. Brought to us by the Kemp Company, who only ever produced this film. Brought by Splendid Pictures, that only ever made this, and then Agent Cody Banks 1 and 2, the films that star Malcolm in
First
the
one's good. Frankie Muniz.
That's him. And brought to us by Parks McDonald Productions, that made this, Collateral, The Terminal, and then Dinner for Schmucks. Now, Dinner for Schmucks is up there with Predator 2 as one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. So Dinner for Schmucks was probably shut down the production company after that. The film, Catch Me If You Can, based on, that's what I normally say, but this one is inspired by the true story of Frank Abagnale. I forgot, he sits in the film all the time.
Abagnale.
Abagnale. Frank Abagnale
Not
Jr.
Abagnale, not Abig... something else. Abagnale.
Abagnale. This true story, allegedly, of Frank Abagnale Jr. in his book, Catch Me If You Can, where he built a narrative around what he claimed were victimless frauds in the late 1960s and into the 1970s. So all of that already questions how truthful all of this is. So this is inspired by that true story. The screenplay was written by Jeff Nathanson. He has quite a mixture here. Before Catch Me If You Can, he wrote Speed 2 Cruise Control, Rush Hour 2, then did Catch Me If You Can, and then The Terminal, back to back, then Rush Hour 3, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Pirates of the Caribbean, Salazar's Revenge, and then the 2019 Lion King. So, what a mixture. He seems to take on sequels.
He's the one that you go to for series to die.
Other than Rush Hour 2, Rush Hour 2 is way better than the first one. The rest is pretty much swinging on us there.
And then The Terminal, I think, is it must be his own story or one way or another. I don't think that was from a book, but it could be based on true events as well. I don't know. Anyway, Catch Me If You Can, directed by Steven Spielberg. We've done him so often, I can list the films that he has done that we have done. Jaws, Jurassic Park, Catch Me If You Can, from Steven Spielberg. I won't go any further him. We know who he is. Jaws, we very much liked. Jurassic Park was a perfect 10, and now we've got this. So Steven Spielberg usually gets a thumbs up.
And technically, he was almost in Mortal Kombat.
And he was in
All right, yeah.
as well.
Yes.
He was in Blues Brothers. So yes, Steven Spielberg, we know him. The film stars as Frank Abagnale Jr., Leonardo DiCaprio. Famous for, and I've only done the famous for, so I'm looking for some debate here. Famous for Titanic, then he was in Catch Me If You Can, The Departed, Inception, and The Wolf of Wall Street.
That's pretty much his career.
They should have been, well, most of them should have been fucking Oscar worthies, especially Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street. A lot of Wolf of Wall Street vibes in this. I'm sure we'll revisit that. But yeah, I think when Chris picked this, he said we haven't done Leo before. We have done it before, but I didn't want to spoil.
Yeah. I realised
Come
that.
Come back to that in movies within movies. Co-starring as Carl Hanratty, Tom Hanks, who we've also done a bunch before, so I've done what he's famous for. Before being Catch Me If You Can, this was the most recent, his most famous ones: Big, Forrest Gump, Saving Private Ryan, and Castaway. That's pretty much him.
Burbs.
Film I keep forgetting about.
The Burbs, and Toy Story for me is always the one. Tom Hanks is synonymous with Toy Story. There are two main stars. They came before the title came up. I didn't bother delving any deeper than that. Catch Me If You Can, on a budget of $52 million, released in America for $30 million in its first weekend. Final US gross $164.5 million. Final worldwide gross $352 million. It's made $300 million. This film, which I thought they would maybe spin a sequel out of it, like make some more money out of it, since it made so much. I know it's kind of a standalone story, but you think they would try to do more with it. Released in America on Christmas Day 2002, which is bizarre. Christmas
Who
Day
goes to the
release.
cinema on Christmas Day? Seriously.
It didn't make
I've
it
done
to
Boxing Day a few times.
Yeah, Boxing Day I have
That's
done.
different, but Christmas Day.
Christmas Day is weird. Yeah.
That's present day.
Present Day.
Unless you got shit presents, you're like, fuck it, let's go to the cinema, guys.
Yeah.
I'll buy my
Nothing
own
to play
present.
with. I'm off.
It released in the UK the 31st of January 2003, right at the end of a month after it came out in the US, which meant it qualified for the 2003 awards season, and it was present all over the place in 2003. So our so-called major award ceremonies. 2003 Oscars, 2 nominations for Catch Me If You Can. Best Original Score, it lost to Frida, and Best Supporting Actor, Christopher Walken. I thought it might be Tom Hanks, but Christopher Walken. He lost to Chris Cooper for Adaptation. It got 4 nominations at 2003 BAFTAs. Best Costume Design, lost to Lord of the Rings 2 Towers. Best Film Music, lost to The Hours, a film that kind of came and went. Best Adapted Screenplay, lost to Adaptation again. And Best Supporting Actor, Christopher Walken again, and he won. Christopher Walken won the BAFTA for Best Supporting Actor in this film, which is strange to me. 2003 Golden Globes, 1 nomination. Best Actor in Motion Picture, Leonardo DiCaprio, lost to Jack Nicholson from About Schmidt. 2003 MTV Movie Awards, 1 nomination. Best Male Performance, Leonardo DiCaprio, lost to Eminem in 8 Mile.
Oh my God.
how to put an era together. There you go. That's when this
Yeah.
came out. It was Eminem 8 Mile. And the 2003 Saturn Awards, 0 nominations. This did not fit into the Saturn Awards at all, which is a bad sign on this podcast. This film,
It is a bad sign.
a bad sign if it doesn't get mentioned at the Saturn Awards. Catch Me If You Can, synopsis, written by Jay Haley here, a new contributor. None of our regulars had done Catch Me If You Can.
That's also a bad sign.
Claudio and Nick weren't there. New Rochelle, the 1960s. High schooler Frank Abagnale Jr. idolizes his father, who's in trouble with the IRS. When his parents separate, Frank runs away to Manhattan with $25 in his checking account, vowing to regain Dad's losses and get his parents back together. Just a few years later, the FBI tracks him down in France. He's extradited, tried, and jailed for passing more than $4 million in bad checks. Along the way, he's posed as a Pan Am pilot, a pediatrician, an attorney. Full stop. And from nearly the beginning of this life of crime, he's been pursued by a dour FBI agent, Carl Hanratty, which is actually spelt wrong in this, which is funny. What starts as a cat and mouse becomes something akin to father and son. Did it? I guess it did.
Yeah,
That's
definitely did.
what Jay thinks the film is about. Who picked it? It was selected by Chris. Why did you pick this film, Chris?
Well, it's a film that I've seen bits of loads of times, and I've seen referenced in other things, but I've never seen the entire thing. And I thought, do you know what? Well, this is where I thought we had another Leonardo DiCaprio film, but it turns out we have. I thought, do you know what? Let's go for Big Leo for a change.
So it was a bit of a gamble selection. You're like, this
It
could
was, yeah.
Right, okay, because I've seen it once before and once before only. I've sat and seen it the once.
It was, we'll go talk about it probably soon, but it was the opening credits. I'd heard that music somewhere, and I was like, where's that from? And then I Googled it, and I've seen Catch Me in a Can. I was like, oh, it's got Leo, it's got Tom Hanks. It's got to be good.
All right. The opening credits really reminded me of Mad Men, which I don't think was quite a thing yet. So.
I think it's Family Guy. I'm sure it was a Family Guy episode that they used it in.
It reminds me of just Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh yeah, I guess it does. Yeah, Andy, I'm assuming you've seen it before because you've seen everything
Yes,
since Die Hard.
I've seen everything.
So there we go. Which channel will we find it on? For me, I think this is an ITV.
BBC.
I think this is ITV, but
Ooh.
BBC could be right. What do you reckon,
Yeah,
Andy?
I would say BBC if I had to swing it because it's one of them films.
And there only is one version of it. In the French version, he teaches Spanish. And that's the only change in any versions. So there you go. It is the one film and the one film only. On to point 2 on the podcast, the high points. By this point, you should know it means the best bits, best things, what we like the most about the film. So Chris picked it. Why don't you start off on the high points?
I'm going to say the opening. I like a good animated opening. It's fun.
Tiny
Also,
bit.
Dreamworks. I always associate that little kid fishing with the Medal of Honor. That's the first time I ever heard that sound.
Yeah.
So it brings back memories of that.
Yeah, opening credits was a bit long, and the song wasn't fun enough. Like
It
if
was.
your happier song, it might have been better. But
I like the doodle, but it gets to a point where I think they're at like they're showing the hotel or the house that he's staying at, and it gets a bit like jazzy, and I'm like, nah.
I did go back and
me.
I didn't check. Chris, you've probably watched it several times in the last week. Does the animated thing tell the story of the film?
Kind of, yeah. I think it does actually.
See, this is where I actually have a problem with this film, like straight away, because my brain works in mysterious ways. But it's just like, well, I don't need to watch the film now. And then literally I'm watching like, that happened. Yeah, I know what happens now. Because my brain remembers retarded things.
Right,
so it's like
yeah.
straight away, it's like, all right, yeah. Whereas like you get a banging opening like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which has got nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
It's just random
totally.
random mishaps.
Kind of like Grease as well had an animated opening and
Yeah,
nothing
exactly.
to do with the film. Yeah. Right. Okay. So my first high point, I've got Frank's attempted escape from the French prison that we could all definitely see coming. So when we first find him, he's locked up in a prison, coughing his lungs up, potentially in a fake fashion. I'm still not sure if he actually had the cough or not. But
I think he did have a cough, but he played in it and he used it to his advantage.
Yeah, but I enjoyed him like, the whole time. You're like, he's just trying to escape here. No, he's just trying to escape. And then obviously, immediately the door's closing and he's gone. And then they catch up around the corner. They catch up with him.
It was the French must have been like the war or something. He's just like, go get him. Just waving his hands away. There's no rush to it whatsoever.
That's because he's in a fucking prison.
Yeah, I don't.
They're notoriously hard to get out of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of why they're there. Yeah.
It took him a whole season to get out in Prison Break.
At least they have a tattoo in his body this time.
Any more high points for you, Chris?
My first one's not until he takes charge of the French class after the kid
See, that's
nudges
my
him.
high point. That's where I'm like, that is amazing. Like that bully's a bit of a prick, and then he just powers in. And then the problem is in this film, I was like, he's way too old to be the age he's playing. But then he's like, all right, he's a substitute teacher. So I'm fully believing in that part of it. It's like, yeah, okay, they could easily.
He's supposed to be 17 there, isn't he? Was he 16?
Yes.
17 at that point. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no, 16 at that point, yeah. Because the real Frank Abagnale, he looked old for his age. Like, he actually was that age.
He went grey quite early or
Yeah.
something like that.
Like, he could be an adult. Whereas Leonardo DiCaprio, like, always looks like he's about 18 until, I don't know, about 10 years ago.
I wish I was as good at lying as him because it just came out instantly with it.
Oh, what a ballsy maneuver that is. It's like
Especially-
amazing.
Because I was thinking, but surely there's someone coming to teach that class, and literally the woman walked in just as I was like
Yeah.
thinking that. Oh, there we go. They've answered that.
Fun
question.
fact for you, that's John Travolta's sister.
Oh, really?
Is
Okay.
it?
Ah.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah.
Need more of these random, Chris.
I don't know that because I went through the entire cast list.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But I like I said, it's just the ease in which he lies, and he just like walks up and down. Like the authority is just like, if I have to tell you again, I'll write the entire class up, and then they'll just sit and listen. And he just makes the bully speak in French, which it would be me. I'm like, les miserable something something, John Bell John, whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that just resonated. Like that scene, it just reminded me and Sean just sitting in economics class, and then just going, "Please don't be Baza, please don't be Baza." And then walks Dave Wilson. It's like, yes. Just always wanted best substitute teacher ever.
I especially liked in the film like him teaching the class, and it cuts to him like being taken for the principal, and the principal saying to the mum and dad, he's been teaching the French class all week. It was just that one day he kept coming back. He kept doing it. It was funny. I really enjoyed. I haven't got his high point, but I did enjoy him helping the girl out with her fake note. I like that little touch.
Everybody knows you fold it.
Basic. So my next high point isn't until Frank's becoming a pilot. Again, I'll do my
my next one's the Pan Am scam.
Him like going in on the premise of I'm doing a book report or a report on being a Pan Am, and then making the fake checks with buying a bath full of planes.
That was superb. Just the way like you just kind of what's a bath there for? You see him slowly peel it off, and you're like, that was quite satisfying in itself. But like, how do you know what a check looked like? That's my only question about that.
Yeah, well, I guess he's the kind of guy who would be lurking around. He would lurk around in an airport and see a pilot with a check,
right.
Maybe. And all.
So this has got one of the greatest movie mistakes in history, which is always annoyed me about this film. So you know when he's doing his little report and he's walking down the corridor with the guy asking questions, and he's like, "Oh, can I get a photocopy of your FDA license or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, you can have it because it expired 3 years ago." They don't ever expire.
Ah, okay.
So it's the biggest movie mistake in history because genuinely, apparently, FDA licenses don't expire.
There we go. We'll cancel the whole thing. We can't carry on.
Literally, it really took it out of the film for me. Just going, Jesus hell.
Who knows? Like, I can imagine you just sitting watching the film, going, the guy goes, "Oh, it's expired." Right, film shit. Everybody knows that's fucking true.
I told you, I've been watching a lot of Discovery Plus. I know this shit. Once you have one of those licenses, they're for life.
Yeah. But him like to me it's a very antiquated thing, the whole check and cashing it out in a hotel. It does an okay job of explaining it, but for me it's still a bit strange. Like imagine someone who's even cheaper than us being like, "What's a check?" Basically. This work, what they just give you money if you walk up with a bit of paper with your name on it and all that sort of stuff. It was a bit awkward, but it kind of takes me on to the next bit. I very much enjoyed Tom Hanks's federal banks briefing for the FBI. Really helped me explain like what DiCaprio, what's it called, what Frank was doing and how he was getting away with it. I was like, okay, I needed that scene to know that you could do the check kind of scam and no one would know for 2 weeks. And I was like, right, okay, that now I can understand a bit more. So that being back to back, that's a high point for me. Is that any more high points?
Elizabeth Banks.
Okay, I'll elaborate.
The film was getting a bit like I'm getting a bit bored now. Like I'm like an hour in, and suddenly Elizabeth Banks comes in. It's like, Elizabeth Banks, and then she goes away just as quick as she came in.
I did like her little ruse of the little numbers and points to the boob.
Yeah,
she came in after Grey's Anatomy, didn't she? She was in it first. The first. But to me, she's always like the love interest in Old School is who she is, but actually she's the main star. Her name is probably right to me, Ellen Pompeo. This was before she was massive. So there's a lot of them because Jennifer Garner rocks up later on as well.
That was my next high point. Jennifer Garner is a hooker.
Well, she was an actress, wasn't it? She just like hoarded herself out.
No,
I reckon
former model, but that was how she makes money now. I think.
Yeah.
But that's a bit in the future. Yeah, Elizabeth Banks will come up for me later on, Andy. But you can have that as a high point. That is fine.
Women in this film are high points.
We can do Jennifer Garner now. Yeah, him actually making a profit out of the whole Jennifer Garner.
Yes,
is a high point for me. But also, while watching Tom Hanks have a bad time at the laundrette, it's a nice where this is what the bad guy is doing with his time and actually profiting, and this is what the good guy is doing, and he's having a hell of a time and washing some old lady's cardigan in with his wife.
Oh, that's going to come later on. What an absolute savage she is, by the way. No apology, that's my mistake. She just takes it, puts it away, and that's it.
Yep.
But also, I don't understand. Like again, it's been a long time since I've washed my laundry in public like that. But how did she manage to put one item of clothing in a different machine to all the
I
rest?
reckon she's just been a bell end. I reckon she did that deliberately.
There's
Maybe-
a lot of whites in there. Let's just bloop.
Yeah.
There we go.
Unless she washed her clothes in that one and then took the washing out to put in the dryer. And then if she did, then that's all on Tom Hanks. Like, he had to check that machine. Check the machine before you
No,
put your stuff in it.
I like to think that he's put them all in, and she's just went. He's went away to get change or something like that. And she's went, ooh, red
The
cardigan.
reddest thing, yeah. That's great. So we've skipped over one high point to get to that, which is him being caught in the Hollywood hotel room when Tom Hanks catches up with him. Because you get Tom Hanks knock joke in the car.
I was just gonna say that genuinely made me laugh. I was not expecting that punchline.
Me too.
The way they set it up, he's like, "Go fuck yourself." I'm genuinely pissed myself laughing at it.
It was so good. And then that's immediately beforehand, and then they've got him, and you're like, oh, they've finally caught up to him here. And then him immediately turning on, scamming his way out of it, giving a fake name, which comes back to haunt
It's
him
a good
later
job I was in
on.
the bathroom because I was shitting myself. I was like, "Oh shit, this guy's got a gun on me. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?" There's no toilet, and then just goes, "Okay, you've got me." He's like, "No, good job you're here. Secret Service here, mate."
And then you're sitting thinking, how is he going to get out? Like, he's the only guy there. And then they bring in the blind guy. Oh, partners outside. They've caught him. He's putting him into the car. It was so good. It's such a good way to kind of get his way out of it. And then pinching his... Like, I think we all knew again, he pinched his ID card on the way out the door as well. Any other high points then?
What? What ID card?
Well, he took Tom Hanks's card out of his wallet.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Because
Oh,
Tom Hanks asked for his, he gave him it, but Tom Hanks didn't look at it.
yeah.
But then Tom Hanks gave him his one, and he
That's how you could
and
call
then-
his number.
and then they swapped back, and then when he goes back, he was
Blew my
chucking all
fucking
his
mind, that.
Hanks chucking all the vouchers that he had, but it didn't have
Yeah.
his like FBI card, wasn't in it. So yeah,
That
there you
blew
go.
my mind.
How
Never
do
even
you
noticed
think it
that.
was so easy for him just to call? Just thought,
Yeah, I know. I
thought
thought back in the days, like, put me through to Cal Hanratty,
Yeah.
like switchboards.
Okay, I've got a few more, but I've been through most of my high points.
Well, mine's is the phone call on Christmas Eve, I think it is, or is it Christmas Day that he's working?
It's always Christmas Eve, so I don't know
Christmas
which,
Eve, yeah.
which
It's
one's
the first one, but he's just like the talking away. He's at the hotel. I was like, "Oh, I'm at this hotel." He's actually telling the truth to come and get him. He's like, "You'd love that, wouldn't you? Just to send the entire force just to in a wild goose chase." And it's like
though.
this little cat and mouse that they've got going.
Yeah, it really is. So the next high point I've got, I think it was an engagement party rather than a wedding party. I don't think he actually got married. So I'm all the way to the engagement party is my next high point.
Mine's is the scene before the dinner with Martin Sheen with his big teeth. I don't know if that's his actual teeth or what, but it just seemed really.
No, that's why his teeth are huge now. It's like even Grace and Frankie are like that now. They're even worse. He's got double ones.
They're growing.
I just liked the way he was grilling them, like, "Oh, that old snake." Well, I can't remember what it's called now. He was like, "How's that dog of his?" Shit. This is another panic moment. I'll be like, I don't know.
Good,
See,
yeah.
If anybody ever asks me something that I'm kind of like they're trying to trick me on something, I'm like, I don't know if I can know. Like,
I was
do you know blah 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 still there? I was like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
They're just going to do work.
Yeah, I just went there to learn. Yeah. Yeah, so the engagement party for me is where we go. When the FBI show up and this is when Leonardo DiCaprio does his audition for Wolf of Wall Street. Him running around with his cases of money, panicking.
Oh, I was not expecting two big, massive cases of money. I thought he literally just got the money and spent it.
When he brought the second one down, that was the one for me. The first one I could believe. I've got so much money to make a number.
It's just like chucking it out for clothes.
Yeah, leaving the money
You
behind.
can buy your own clothes. Just take the cases and run.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you with me? Are you with me? And then that takes me into obviously that scene. He's like Miami International Airport, 10 a.m. and keeps getting. And then that scene where he's spying on the FBI, showing up, and then he's in the wind at that point. Then he auditions all the stewardesses just randomly as a cover, and then him escaping with the giving his outfit to the limo driver with the sign spelt wrong again.
Do you think she was like forced to rat out Frank, or do you think she was just like she was wanting to do it?
She's a good Christian girl. She can't lie.
Yeah, she'd be immediately. The mom and dad would pressure her, and the FBI would pressure her, and she would crumble. I think would be. I think she definitely gave him up. Which the whole time I'm guaranteed that's she's good. There's no point. Either take her with you or leave her. There's no point in trying to convince her. She was too weak. So I'm in France for my next high point. I don't know what you got.
My final one, I'll say that is a clear gate on the plane when they're talking about like how did you pass the bar?
Chantel's loved that, Claire.
I know.
Did he actually ever explain how he passed it, other than I studied for 2 weeks and passed it?
No, that was it. That was
the reveal.
So I had a theory that the reveal was going to be that someone else sat it for him. But my opinion is not that's what happened. He says, I studied really hard for 2 weeks and passed it. I am positive either one of two things happened.
Oh. You can't leave it like this, Bruce.
Am I paused? Am I?
Yeah,
you're moving for me.
Oh, what a cliffhanger that was.
I know, he's like, two theories.
That's not okay. So either he found out exactly what was in the paper, the test, and learned that, or he learned a whole bunch of stuff and then like forged that to be the test. So I think he still cheated, but he did actually do what he said. Like he learned however many pages worth of stuff you have to write down. So that's my opinion. But I feel like the film, there's no way he just learned lawyering for 2 weeks and passed the bar
I
exam.
don't know. I've learned some classes like that. Or just wing it.
Even still, like he says he learned it for 2 weeks. He was still a moron when it came to the actual lawyer bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like talking to the jury that wasn't there. And all
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I reckon he made his own bar exam and popped it in.
If I ever need to do it, it's just always the Chewbacca defense.
Do you care to expound on that?
You never seen South Park?
I have seen South Park.
Park.
I don't remember everything.
Oh, that's a belter.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's a South Park reference. You won't get it.
Fair enough. So catching him in France is my next high point. When the final scene where he catches him in like his printing factory in this Mont Richard in the middle of France somewhere. So it was a good scene.
Quick question: was Carol telling the truth? Was those officers actually waiting and they came out, or was that just good timing on their behalf?
They were waiting. They're waiting for him. They probably had one guy who could see them, and he said, "I want to be the guy who kind of huckles him." And as soon as he stepped outside with him, then all the cars. Right, he's here. He's what's the radio round? He's here, and all the cars pull up.
Okay.
So yeah, but there was a really good building of atmosphere and tension. I don't know if it was the music or the sound of the machines and all that, but it's a really good scene. And like, you don't know who's lying, who's telling the truth, who trusts who. They've got this relationship and all that, and it's like Tom Hanks is trying to do what's best for him. And that is safely come with me and I'll make sure you're safe, because if you do anything else you're going to die. I don't want you to die, I want you to be safe and captured. And so it was a good scene. So I have one more high point, but it's an overarching one. So any other highs from you guys?
No.
Nope.
Not you. Everyone always getting Hanratty's name wrong in different ways. As in, people call him Ratty, people spell his name differently, people have to get him to ask it 3 times. I like a character whose name nobody gets wrong the whole way through the film. It's a good little running gag for a film like this. Low points then. Point 3, what was like the worst bits and things were of the film? I feel like Andy said the least, so I think he's probably got a couple of low points in the chamber.
It's fucking long.
It's long, yeah. 2 hours 20.
There was no need for it to be that long. Like I said,
that first hour dragged on big time.
I like the build up. Like, don't get me wrong, I actually quite liked the first one. I was like, ooh, right, okay, yeah. Right, family, right. It's the fact is it just literally there's a point where it just repeats itself. It's like he does one Christmas, like New Year or Christmas Eve, and then it just literally he then even goes back to like on the plane in Panama again. It's like, oh my god, I've been through this.
Before that, what I've got written down, honestly, the film grinds to a halt when he meets Amy Adams.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of intentionally, because he's supposed to have this high-flying, jet-setting lifestyle where he's always on the move. And then he finds this girl that I'm assuming he likes. I feel like that relationship was very strange. Like, she seems like she's just a mark. When he first finds her, she's this mark. And then he wants to help her. But then he's like, oh, I'm settling down, I'm giving up the game and all that. And then the film is just like him taking the doctor job in the first place is a bad idea, because you're going to have to do some doctoring at some point. If you are a doctor, you're going to have to see a guy's leg broken. Something's going to happen. But yeah, it just absolutely just shuts down at that point. And like Andy says, once it gets going again, he's just back to being a pilot again, and it's back to seeing the dad again, and the dad kind of encouraging him, but also being a bit of a loser. Then the mum's happily married with a new guy, and he doesn't really have anything to do with her. It's like a half-hour bit of the film where it's just like, oh, so slow, and I don't care about Amy Adams and her parents, and then half-hour of restarting where we were again.
It was all the points were like that, and he keeps writing letters to his dad saying, "Oh, I'm a co-pilot, saying you get free tickets and all that," or I'm inviting you to a wedding to thing. But it's like, what's going to happen when they actually try and like go, let's go for this flight? Oh, you can't. There's nobody of that name.
Exactly.
Or they're at the wedding says, "Do you Frank Connors?" Who the fuck's Frank Connors? His name's Frank Abagnale. And this is going to destroy his entire life.
Yeah, there's a lot of different strands that are just like for the first half of the film mentioned in the synopsis that he wants to get his parents back together, but he is really strongly wanting to get back together when his mum is already happily married with someone else. And I'm like, what is the like? And then he just gives up that grind all of a sudden, and he doesn't care about it anymore. Christopher Walken dies off screen. Like he's the third most important.
I want to see that. Like that sounds like a great scene.
Exactly. Like he fell down some stairs. Was that when he fell down some stairs?
Broke his neck.
Yeah, it's like that would have been an exciting bit to see in the film. But no, we've got him speaking to Martin Sheen again about stuff. But it's
you kind of mentioned my other low point within that rant as well, there, Bruce. That you kind of took over for me.
I took the whole film there.
Amy Adams' eyes freaked me out. When bloodshot red eyes, they're just creepy. It literally looks like she's in the wrong film. It looks like she's auditioning for a horror film, like as a scary nurse, like Silent Hill type thing.
Right, yeah.
Just like that's like who looks at somebody and goes, right, you kind of look like a crack addict. Yes, you're my mark.
I often don't like it. I find Amy Adams quite unlikable in things that she's in, but actually she's quite likable in this. She's a very different character. Also, I was also when she was pointing at her braces, being like, "Your teeth are absolutely perfect underneath."
I noticed that there was like not a blemish on them whatsoever.
But I was like, of course, like she's near the end of the braces, so when they come off, the teeth are better again. I did like her scene where she was like showing off that her braces are gone. I quite enjoyed her in that scene. But I've melded all my low points into one big rant there.
Yeah, you just did.
On a low point, I've played in one go. So any other?
I've got one. The creepy families, like it freaked me out a little bit. Like at the start when they're doing a little dancing, that in itself's quite creepy. But it looks like Frank Jr.'s trying to look down his mum's top.
That was creepy.
It was weird, like the way it was almost like his dad was like bragging.
He's trying to invite him into a threesome or something. The way he's like just showing her off. It was just ugh.
And then go get a towel to clean up the wine. Actually, no, we'll just dance in it instead.
What are you doing? What's he coming back with milk for? What's that going to do?
Maybe it's a trick.
Well,
maybe it's a 1960s.
Well, when they did the Amy Adams Family one, I was just like saying,
Adams Family,
we should totally just sing along to films, like, or put like songs of praise on and just sing away to the motherfucker.
It's like the dad's creepy little tap on the leg, and she's sitting on his leg. And
God, yeah. 1960s. That's what happened back then. Weird
it
stuff.
Just gave me the ick.
But it did make me want to wash the dishes just dancing, like.
That's a solo job. You don't wash dishes together.
I know, but like if you're happily married, you dance like that, Chris. That's what
I'm happily married. I don't want to dance with Nicola.
Is that us for low points?
Oh,
then?
I've got the next one. Did anyone else notice the penguin flipper and the substitute teacher when she was running out of the classroom?
The what? The penguin?
Yeah, like from like Batman Returns. So how he's got like his little penguin flipper.
Oh, right.
I thought you said a penguin fucked her.
No, a penguin flipper.
I said, did you see the penguin flip her? As in, like a penguin.
No, she's like runs out. She's got a little penguin flipper.
All right. No,
I didn't see that.
Yes. Okay.
What a low point in the film that was.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was it. I noticed it. It just really made me think of Danny DeVito's Penguin.
Fair enough. Is that us for low points then?
Yeah.
I think so.
Let's go a couple of rants and that'll do it. 1.4 then, the stats.
I forgot to make up a note on my stats.
Oh, okay.
Got
well, I've not cross-referenced these. I've only just done my own ones. I think there was only one shit and one F-bomb, and the one F-bomb was Tom Hanks's knock knock joke. He didn't get to say it. He was going to say it a second time, but we cut away from it. But yeah, there was only one shit, one F-bomb. No explosions that I can think of. Like none jumped out at me, none that I could see, and only the one death, I think, and that's just Christopher Walken, who we didn't see die.
That's
but I don't think anybody else died. Like obviously he has these victimless crimes, which is what they claim he always did, so nobody ever dies because of it. And then our quotas, no cows and no goats that I could tell. It's kind of city based and air based, so I didn't see too many of them. Dead animal, the dean from the university's dog, it was dead, if that counts. You're going to say Martin Sheen, but I've got no paedophiles. No devils, no KKK, no Nazis. I thought there might be something racist, but no. Not a tremendously multicultural film, but it's a very white, but nothing on the racism end of the scale. Tom Cruise trifecta. He only ran. He did not ride a motorcycle, and he definitely didn't get the girl in the end. He was pretty much alone at the end.
Well, no, he technically did get married, so.
He did he get married? I thought he just got engaged. Yeah,
that's what the spiel at the end said. He got married.
Oh, yeah, but he didn't
At the end, but yeah.
say to someone in the film, or was it a new person?
No, just some random
new person. So, yeah,
I reckon he went back for Jennifer Garner.
Maybe. Yeah. So I count a couple of extra bonus ones. I thought I'd count how many disguises he wore. I don't have the number, but this is the list. Schoolboy, as in when he was trying to get the stuff off the pilot. Pilot, Secret Service agent, James Bond, doctor, lawyer, although he technically was a lawyer, so it's not a disguise as much. Then he was a pilot again, and then a pilot again. Like twice he was a pilot.
I did something similar. I counted how many times he was impersonating somebody. So he was like the French teacher, then he was the Frank Black, then he was the pilot, which I think he still kept the name as Frank Black. No, Taylor.
No. Taylor was a pilot.
Taylor Black. Then it was the Doctor Connors, Barry Allen. Oh, bugger, there's another three. You went somebody else. You went back to being a pilot or somebody else or something. I can't remember now.
Good list.
Yeah, I forgot. I did take a note of each one, but there was 8 impersonations.
8 different impersonations for. And I also tried to count how many times he was basically caught, because I thought there's no way he I kind of remember the films. No way he just escapes. He's always on the run. Like he doesn't really get caught. So he starts the film having been caught, because he's in prison. So it's a bad start for a film called Catch Me If You Can. And then he attempts to escape that prison and gets caught again. So he's immediately caught twice. He gets caught teaching French, if that counts. He is basically caught when he's in the hotel room and then plays off the blind guy. So Tom Hanks gets there and you're the guy, I've got you. He gets caught at the engagement party, as in they make it to the engagement party, know he's there, they're in the house. If they're quicker about it, they'd have got him. He then gets caught in France. And then he escapes on the plane through the toilet, which is genius. I don't know how the hell he managed that. And then he gets caught at his mum's house again. So 7 times he gets caught in this film. At least 4 of them by the police, actually arrested. And then did they say the thing? Did they say catch me if you can?
No.
They don't. They say catch me. I think at the end when he's running around in the printing room, running away from Tom Hanks, he says catch me in there. But never catch me if you can. Chris, have you got any others?
No, it was just impersonating. There was no nut shots this time.
No, there weren't any. Not much in the way of fights in this film, no. On to point 5 then, 10-point podcast quiz. Andy is the quiz master. What quiz?
Absolutely anything.
Apparently, a listener told me that I won the quiz last week. Someone said they listened, and that when I claimed it was 5-5, it was actually 6-4 to me, and in the end I won. But that's all.
To be fair, I mean, every single one of the questions is Batman and Robin.
Right, yeah. Chris felt like I'd won it, but I think we ruled it a draw, but I think I may have won last week. Anyway, on to
actually get double points because they get shenaniganized every time.
Right, fair enough. Do you want to go first or second, Chris, since you get shenaniganized?
I'll go second.
You go second, right. Bruce, you're getting question number 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy, this one.
You're getting question number 2. Chris, you're getting
It's not exactly the hardest quiz in the world because it's called Catch Me If You Can.
Okay.
It's a quiz about the film Catch Me If You Can.
I see.
So this is going to wholeheartedly go to Chris because he remembers every detail about the film. So, question number 1 starts off really easy. What is the full name of the imposter used in the game show at the beginning?
What is the full name used by the imposter in the game show? What wasn't it Frank? What's he called? Abagnale? Was it not? This is his name, Frank Abagnale.
I need a full name.
Oh, Junior, or Frank William Abagnale Jr.
Oh, you fucking.
Yep, I'll give you that. 1 point. Yep. All right, Chris, you only get harder from here. What are the 2 rules when Carl goes to the interview Frank? What are the 2 rules he must follow?
Don't open the door and don't pass him anything through the little box.
I'll give you that. It was a hole, not a box, but yes. Bruce, who is the club president?
Oh, flipping heck. Oh, I don't know. Actually, I don't even have a guess. No, I've no idea.
Chris,
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know.
Is it James Barnes?
oh, it's so close. It was Jack Barnes.
Jack Barnes, yeah,
yeah,
cast list, yeah.
Where am I going? Chris, how much did the car salesman overpay for Frank's white car?
$500.
$500, yes, it is. Bruce, what room was French class in?
3B? Was that
That
flat?
was flat. That was flat. Chris,
I was going to say French room.
it's a number. What room?
12. Lucky 12.
No, it was 17.
Oh, I wasn't far of me.
Chris, what did Frank find on the sofa after Barnes's visit?
Oh, the president's pin.
Yes, it is the president's pin. Bruce, whereabouts was the projected slideshow about fraud given by Carl? So, what's the location?
It was in Washington, D.C. Is that the...
Yeah, I'll give you that. The FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Chris, how much does it cost for a whole night with Jennifer Garner?
$1,000.
It is $1,000. Bargain. Just saying. Bruce, where did Brenda's parents live?
Oh, yeah.
New Orleans?
It is New Orleans. Chris, what comic book character was one of his identities?
Oh, Barry Allen, The Flash.
Yes, correct.
We're all bases there with that one.
Bruce, which identity did Frank use in the hospital?
He was Dr. Frank Connors in the
It
hospital.
was Frank
Quick
Connors.
question. Do you think that's Dr. Connors from Spider-Man?
Could be.
Could
Could
be,
be.
yeah, he's into his comic books, yeah. Chris, how did Frank Sr. die?
He slipped down the steps, tried to catch a train at Grand Central and broke his neck.
That's exactly what I've got down.
Good. I'll
Double
try to get
points.
as much detail as possible because I know fine well you'd screw me somewhere.
I'm giving you 2 points for that because you literally read it
Oh.
almost word for word. You
Oh
get 2
my God.
points.
Bloody hell.
Couple more. How long was the prison sentence for Frank, Bruce?
8 years?
No, Chris.
Lucky 12 years.
It was lucky 12 years. And Chris, to absolutely dominate.
You've got twice the points I do at the moment. Let's put it that way.
So to cement your win, Chris, how much was the final check that Frank advised Carol on in the movie? He was advising a check.
Oh,
what was the-
$16,000.
It was $16,000.
Do you know
Rain
what's been
Man
running through my
playing
head?
against you.
The entire thing is Mont Richard. I knew Mont Richard was coming up. I just had it in my head the entire time, but it never came up. It was
Chris
useless.
won 9-4 in that quiz.
He really specialises in film detail quizzes.
Sometimes he just runs away.
That's
Oh, there you go.
sometimes, but
There
other
you go.
times I get absolutely dominated.
There you go. Well, you won that one, Chris. I don't think I've miscounted there. There we go. Success for Chris there. On to point 6 on the 10-point podcast. Movies within movies. We'll stick with Chris. Chris, what have you
Yeah, I forgot Leonardo DiCaprio was in Django Unchained.
got? He was very much.
Straight off the bat. He was Calvin Candy. Tom Hanks, I swear he's in more, but it's only been Forrest Gump and The Burbs as Ray.
Yeah.
I
That's it.
swear we did him and I forgot The Burbs when we did something else. But
I think Forrest Gump was our main Hanks, and that's where I think I was in the streak of you forgetting the Burbs every time. By the way, I'm not double checking for you here. This is all you, Chris. So,
okay, good. I'm glad that because I stopped at a couple. Christopher Walken was Max Schreck from Batman Returns. I nearly missed that one. I missed this one until I googled it. James Brolin was in Amityville Horror.
Yeah,
As George Lutz.
He's our main man.
And Amy Acker was in The Cabin in the Woods. And I never would have got that.
Who was Amy Acker?
She was one of the hostesses, I think, behind
Oh,
you
okay.
somewhere. In fact,
Oh.
yeah, on your left.
Can't really see. So on my left or on the left?
Oh,
of
but
me?
you're right.
Okay.
The end one, I can't remember. Aye.
Yeah.
I think that's
All right. I did not recognise her.
that's about as much as I can be bothered doing because there was hundreds of cast members. I mean,
There's a
there's
lot of people in this film.
20 of them were in a choir by themselves, so I wasn't going through that, so I gave up.
Yeah,
This
a lot of
film
people.
broke me.
I believe I saw that this film filmed in like 127 locations or something like that. There was something mad like that. There's so many different places they filmed
He's
it.
only has like 4 locations.
I know, yeah, yeah. But at one point, it's like he's in Georgia, and it looks like he's like on the beach in California. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah. Have you recast this, Chris?
I
I'm just
did.
realised I have, so I'm going to very quickly think about how to do it.
Well, I put myself as Frank Jr. because I like to rip the labels off bottles, which I've been doing to this entire thing.
Hey.
But I don't keep them in my wallet like he does. I put Bruce as Carol. It's not very often we have a cat and mouse chase. And I can see Andy being Frank Sr. Like the restaurant scene when he gets disgusted by the cold fork. I can generally see Andy having a
I don't
meltdown.
understand it. I was
fork.
genuinely, when that happened, I just looked at Chantel, I was like, the fuck is this? I would instantly, if somebody hands me a cold fork, I'm out of there. This is not the place for me. I do not need a cold fork to eat my salads.
Yeah, I probably would have cast it the same, Chris. So I'm glad that you've gone that way there. I did relate to Hanratty a little bit. I don't know something about him. I did see him as the hero of this thing. Andy, have you done any recasting?
Somebody, I don't know who, is better than Leo, because I did not believe at any stage did Leo look like a 16-year-old kid in this film. And I was trying to wrap my head around it.
Get Tom Holland to do it now.
He'd be way too young in this time. I was trying to think, like, and then I kind of came to the realization.
I mean, like back then, as the film was done. What do you just mean now?
I was trying to think of somebody in 2002 that would have been
right, okay.
kid-like. And then all I kept thinking was like Ashton Kutcher for some reason. I don't think it would have made a great film, but he was literally just like, he's kind of young. But then I kind of just landed on, yeah, Leo does look like a child. So
because I've got to come to him very shortly actually on the subject, but he is older than the character, so but he looks young.
Yes,
but he's actually comfortably older than the character. Actually,
it's kind of where I have the problem with the character is he's just way too old. Like he acts too old. I know he's meant to be good at doing that, but it really took me out because Leo just acts too well.
It's a shame it happens in quite a short period of time because you could have had a school kid actor be the school kid version and then turn it.
Yes,
like he could kind of weasel his way into becoming a pilot, and then you could do like a kind of crossfade, and then here's Leonardo DiCaprio being the pilot now. But using the one actor was a bit wacky. Any other movies?
Well, actually, to be fair, around about 2002 time, Ryan Reynolds was pretty young.
Yes. The Rock
was still
started acting back then, so maybe The Rock.
The Rock looked like 140 when he was like 16.
Yeah. He's an absolute giant. Imagine him towering over the air hostess.
Okay then, movies. Again, it forces me to write things down. Goldfinger is in this film, as in literally the guy and the film is in this. I couldn't stop thinking about him being in The Wolf of Wall Street. This every kind of third or fourth scene, I'm just like, this is exactly what he does in Wolf of Wall Street. And then The Silence of the Lambs kept coming out to me when he's in the prison at the beginning, but then at the end, he's basically Hannibal Lecter's forgeries for the FBI, and you are the best forger in the world. Can you help us catch other forgers, like what they do with Hannibal Lecter? So those three all jumped out at me. Dead Man Walking, I couldn't remember, and I nailed it. I was like, Christopher Walken is not making out of this film alive, and I was correct. I've got a big green tick next to his name. I was so happy when I picked that. Could this film have come out in 1995? Yes, because it's one of these ones. It's older, but you could do it with the same cast. Because Tom Hanks, coming off the back of Forrest Gump, could easily be an FBI guy chasing him. And Leonardo DiCaprio would have been 20 when filming this. So despite the fact we're complaining about his age the whole time, he actually would have been basically the perfect age for the character when this film, in 1995, had this film made back then. So yeah, this definitely could have been a 1995 film. Who's in the wrong movie? I've got Elizabeth Banks is in the wrong movie because she's basically doing what she did in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, but in this film instead. Like the noises, the reaction, the facial expressions is exactly what she's like in the library when Steve Carell's giving her all the lines and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, you're not meant to be in this film. You're not quite right. I couldn't think of anyone else that was so in the wrong film.
See, I would have said Jennifer Garner because she would have been like what, just before Electra, but she would have been an Alias and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's also weird, but it doesn't quite fit tonally with say, the rest of the film. I might have put her, but yeah, Elizabeth Banks just being the 40-year-old virgin. And then what happens next? Unfortunately, it kind of tells us what happens next, and it's not very fun. And there wasn't a sequel, so I can't really do anything with that, unfortunately. So yeah, read the credits at the end. He works for the FBI, gets married, all this sort of stuff, writes the book, and all that. So yeah, can't really do anything what happens next. Point 7 on the podcast: tropes that need to die. I've not thought of one yet, so Chris said he had one ready to go. So Chris.
I do. I'm piggybacking off of the one I did for Brave. Kind of thought a point I made in Braveheart, making up facts for films that are based on true stories. Right. Some of the lies in this one are Frank was an only child, but he didn't. He wasn't. He had like 2 brothers and a sister. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, he technically has a sister in this, but again, that's lies, I think. And the relationship with his dad was a lot more tense in real life because his dad was his first victim because he credit card scammed him
Right.
or something like that, which would have been a good thing to add in the film. You mentioned it before. He also didn't escape custody by climbing out of a toilet in the airplane. That's like physically impossible. It doesn't lead you to underneath the thingy.
Yeah.
Imagine if you just knock the ship pipe and you end up in the tank. It's like, oh.
This would have made a great film in itself. There was no Brenda, but there was a stewardess called Paula who, in a quick nutshell, he befriended, stalked a little bit, followed her to her parents' house, befriended her parents, and then lived with her parents for a while. And she got really freaked out about it.
I would have wondered.
That in itself would have made a great thriller.
Yeah.
So, and you've also kind of touched a little bit. There's also a lot of mixed reports that a lot of the stuff he did were lies and made up. So the entire film is a lie, basically.
I think that's what I need to do is films that are based on true events. Either tell me what happened or just make up a story. Don't do based on true events. That's the trope. What about you, Andy? Have you got a trope that needs to die?
Right. So I am actually like fed up of films that have good versus evil, bad guys versus good guys. I was trying to think of a film today just to try and prove this point. Just a film that is just like good, just all good guys. Nothing bad happens. Just a good film. Like
we did one, didn't we? I feel like we did
I was
one.
trying to think of one.
A villain. It was definitely a film we did, and there was no villain in it.
But just like there's no dramas.
When Harry Met Sally, there was no villain in When Harry Met Sally. That's the one I remember mentioning on the podcast.
Right, because like something like that. But there needs to be. I just want to see more films of that, but like a good film like that as well.
And what I don't like a trope that needs to think about is when the bad guy, like Leonardo DiCaprio, he is a bad guy. He's conning people, but they kind of make him out to be like an anti-hero.
Yeah.
And
I do like an anti-hero type thing, but yeah, I just want to see a film. Just stop doing bad versus evil. Just a good guy has a little bit of a bad day, but like there's not a bad guy involved. It's just like it's raining today. Then it's sunny. And then he carries on with his day. Like
just sitting there with a cup of coffee, look at the window. That's a shit day. I'm not going to work today. That's his film, just watching TV.
Because obviously there was that one where Thingy went schizo as well, and he was trying to get his kids, but he was technically the good and the bad guy in the film as well.
Which is Doubtfire?
No, the one where
falling down.
Falling down, yeah. But no, just a film that's just singular.
That sounded like it fitted his description there.
But yeah, I just fed up of a cat and mouse, good versus bad. I just want something different. Give me some different formula. Not boy meets girl, not guy falls in love, have a little hiccup in the middle. Just give me a different format of a film.
I think it's comedies is where you need to look, I think. Like,
but even I was still thinking comedies, they were just like
comedies lined up, don't you worry.
There's just like they always have that middle bit where it's like, oh, something's went bad, he's took it too far, he's got to win them back. Just give me a flat out, just this is what happens.
Stuff that's happening. Well, we'll see. It might show up. I guess what do you call it? Didn't have a bad guy. Clerks 2 didn't really have a bad guy. We all thought Dante. He wasn't a bad guy.
He's a prick. He can't help us. I just keeps banging everything that moves.
Yeah, no, I would say you're probably like Clerks type thing where just events happen, but there's nothing bad. There's just events happen through a film. Yeah. This is what this film should have been. Just events happen. He didn't need Tom Hanks chasing him. Just that. No, I just want to see him just doing credit card fraud, and it's just like, oh, you're a little bit bad there, and then he goes and does it. Oh,
you naughty little boy.
Yeah. Scam. I reckon you could have took Tom Hanks out of this film, and it would still been a pretty good film.
Fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion. That's the whole point. Okay, on to point 8. Point 8 on the podcast is our nominations for the 10 Point Podcast Awards. As I have decided as tradition, Chris goes first, and then we argue with Chris's nominees.
Well, I went for Best Actor as Leo.
Yeah, do something.
Controversial. I went for worst actor as Christopher Walken. I don't know why. I just don't rate him as an
Oh
actor.
no, he was good.
I just thought he was there. He didn't do enough Christopher Walkening for me to be
I
entertained.
think it's the Christopher Walken, does it? It's like his first thing he said was like, 2 little mice, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Here we go.
Well,
Hey,
that's coming up.
Does that work? Like churning butter, by the way? Does it? Can you like?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know if a mouse could.
As soon as he said that, 2 little mice, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I think
Christopher
we
Walken.
need to Mythbuster. Like we have another podcast where we do Mythbuster type things.
Maybe Mythbusting.
Where we get Chris in a massive bucket of cream or milk and just have him run around so much
just
that he
one
can
episode there.
churn it and then he can climb out.
Some sad news, Christopher choked and then drowned in a vat of butter.
I must say, Chris, that it was basically the first scene that Christopher Walken had, or an early scene. When he walked up, he's like, thank you, and he just starts, like you say, 2 little mice fell into I paused it, and I went straight to Michael Pena Award, and I typed Christopher Walken, 2 little mice. And it wasn't even a good story, but because in the first line of that, I thought, right, here's the Michael Pena coming. He actually had a better one not long after, but I forget what it was. But I'm nominating Chris Walken for Michael Pena just because I need to get him in one.
I might try and trump you later on. My best support, I went for Tom Hanks.
I think it has to be.
I think he was too high up, but okay, you went for.
The 2 of them are both really good, Tom Hanks because Tom Hanks is not quite playing Tom Hanks in this. He's a wee bit different. He's not quite doing.
I now can't say doctor without going doctor. My biggest bell end was the old lady with the red top.
I want to agree with you on this one now.
Good shout, yeah.
Absolute monster.
Skip to that. My worst special effects was the money underneath the table, underneath the door. It was very Forrest Gump-esque for the rest thing.
But when it flew away, it went.
Yeah, it was just too cheesy.
For me, the worst CGI is not enough to notice to nominate it is, but that the TV show that starts the whole thing off, the Would I Lie to You, whatever it's called.
Oh, right, yeah.
You could see that the presenter guy was CGI'd onto an old video, and he was kind of moving around slightly as the camera zoomed in. But yeah,
why did they put? I know it's probably how he was in the actual episode, but I wanted to know what the third guy was lying about, because they had the first guy saying whatever it was, and they had Frank Abagnale saying "Who caught you?" and I wanted to know what the third guy was.
Yeah. That whole real episode is on YouTube, allegedly. I saw that in some of my research was that you can.
I might do. My Michael Pena Award was the FBI's red dress story. We nearly shot his tit off.
Yeah, I suppose that was quite good. Yeah, I'll go for that because it actually was a story and quite funny. Was walking, just one line made me laugh.
My best line is Carol's joke. It literally came out of nowhere.
Yeah, the knock joke. Yeah.
My best cop is Carol. He did eventually catch him.
Very good. Like
I'm choking.
At any opportunity, he got the next clue. This is where he'll be because of this, and it wasn't like too much of a jump either. It was always made sense, and very successful.
The one where Leo described it, became out the bathroom as a cop. How did he get there? Was that just random chance, or did they get a call?
To go to the hotel. I think my perception of that one was that the dad kind of dobbed him in. I think that he told him he was in Hollywood or something like that.
Right.
And then immediately the police were then after him. So I thought that his dad had told them that he was there, but maybe there was a letter because a lot of times it was him always writing letters to his dad, giving away where he was. But I thought the dad had given up at that point, but I could be wrong.
My best accent was a New Orleans accent. Quite like that one.
You didn't like Tom Hanks's Boston, I think it was meant to be. But,
was that what it was? Boston?
I think it's meant to be Boston, I think.
It was. He said doctor. I was like, doctor! My best costume was the pilot costume. I don't know why. There wasn't really that many costumes. Then my worst hair was Frank's hair at the end. It kind of looked like it was thinning out, and this looked weird.
Yeah, well, I didn't like the long hair, but then when he cut it, it must have been a 70s style because it wasn't very good. The 70s hair.
And finally, the most obvious name, I could have named a few for this, but I said Miggy Aker because it's Amy Aker's surname. And he did that with all the other ones. It was like an Anderson and another one, and it was just the actress's surname.
I mean, you could have gone with every time he changed his name, he was still Frank.
Oh, yeah.
Like you could double how hard it is to be found if you changed your first name as well. But no, I always stuck with Frank the whole time through. Any nominations from you, Andy?
Right. Well, I've got a brand new category hot off the presses. It's something I was going to do a long time ago, but I'm now going to stick with it. It's my one category that I am going to look out for in every film, and it's best value thing.
Best value.
So in the background, when he was in a burger place, a cheeseburger was 63 cents. I was like, that is pretty good value. So that was winner up until Jennifer Garner for $1,000 for a night.
I didn't even make that connection.
So Jennifer Garner is currently best value.
Technically, he got it for negative $400 because.
Oh yeah, he didn't have to pay anything for it.
Yeah.
Technically, he made profit, but still, there was a price. It was $1,000 bargain.
The price given was
So
a
I'm going
bargain.
to keep track of the best valued thing in a film from now
To be
on.
fair, if that was me, it'd be a waste of money. They'd be like, "Here's $1,000." I can't do anything. I'm sorry. Too much pressure.
I thought you meant for the whole night. It's like, oh, what a waste of money. I can't do that. I can't do the whole night. Sorry. Right, my ones that was not we mentioned. Best character name. I like Hanratty, or Hanratty, however you say his name, because everyone got it wrong the whole way through. I like that. He's definitely best cop. Best song. You Really Got Me by the Kinks was a great song. Or if you wanted to argue, Come Fly With Me by Frank Sinatra, if you thought it was better or suits the film better. But I think You Really Got Me. And the weird house party that he seemed to be like the owner of the house where they spilled the drink on him and angry they're making a mess in a house he definitely didn't live in with people he wasn't actually friends with. It was a bit of a strange scene, but that
was very Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, that thing where he had his orange sort of jumper on was very Wolf of Wall Street. I don't have much else. Oh, worst twist. This was more of a twist in 1960, whatever, and more of a twist in 2002. But in 2022, Barry Allen being the Flash wasn't such a good twist. As in, about half an hour later, you saw his Flash comics. I'm like, oh, he's in the Flash comic. And then as soon as the name Barry Allen comes out, and I'm like, well, that's the Flash's name. So not such a good twist these days. And that's me. Chris hit everything else I was going to mention there. So we're all good. Point 9 on the 10-point podcast, the moral of the story. Since I had so little, I'll go first. Bad guys have more fun is the moral of the story of this. What about you, Andy? What's your moral of the story?
Check your wash and load.
Yeah, always check your machine first. Yeah, very good. Chris?
Might just get so good at something illegal that the FBI hire you and pay you to catch others.
That is a good point. Yeah, the old Hannibal Lecter rule.
That is actually the moral of the story. Like, that is what it is.
Be so good at crime that the good guys pay you to be good at crime.
Yeah, it happens in everyday life all the time. Like burglars, like professional burglars, they go and work for the police. People that do piracy and hacking, they go and work for the big software companies.
Yeah.
And if like that little blurb at the end is true, and they're now paying him millions to create stuff to catch people, then
create like unforgeable checks or something like that, wasn't it? It was like things that were hard to forge. He was getting paid to make. Yeah, there you go. All very similar morals of the story. Yeah, do what he did.
Be bad is good.
Be bad, yeah. Point 10, the 10-point rating. We will rate the movie out of 10. I've got Mies to go first, but Chris picked it, so Chris, you go first.
Yeah, I'd never seen like the whole movie before, and it turns out like the bits I had seen were the best bits. Like it's like a really slow start for me, and it doesn't really get interesting until Frank Jr. runs away and he starts being bad.
Yeah.
I only got really invested when he was actually doing the scams, like starting with the Pan Am scam. But other than that, I just found it boring, which is disappointing considering like all the big stars that are in it, like Leo and Tom. Tom's joke floored me though, so I guess an extra point for that. But it only gets a 4 for me.
A 4 only for Chris. Okay. I've only got one word written under my rating here. Unsatisfying. I think that sums up this film. That even the conclusion is a bit kind of meh. And the kind of him getting hired by the FBI would have been a good finish, but you kind of get a bit more of him working for the FBI, maybe running away again, and he doesn't. And then he comes back, it's like, no, you're just going to be like the punchline is, he ends up working for the FBI. And lots of like, you don't see Christopher Walken die, so that storyline never gets wrapped up. He goes to his mum's house, but gets arrested before he deals with that. So it's just like everything sort of gets to a point where it could have been wrapped up, but it doesn't quite. And like the beginning's a bit slow, but it's okay. That middle bit really took it out. I was probably heading towards a 7, but then that bit where I was just like, oh, this is ground to a halt, and then the film starts again. So I'm going to 6 is what I've gone for. Catch me if you can, Andy.
It's pish. Watch Wolf of Wall Street. It's way better.
It is.
Steven Spielberg needs to stick to sharks, dinosaurs, and aliens.
Yes.
Because
the big 3.
Yes, That's all he needs to do. He doesn't need to do slight mockumentary drama things. Just stay away from it. And yeah, you almost ruined Leo's career here. So I guess a 3.
A 3, bloody hell!
That's
See,
more than I thought you were going to give it there.
I think it's a good film. Like, it's a good enough made film that it deserves above a 5 for me, but it's not good enough. But yeah,
Nope. It's not got
Yeah.
dinosaurs, aliens, or sharks.
yes, we know your opinions on films, Andy. I'm adding them to the list now as well. Sharks, aliens, and dinosaurs. Right, out with the cows and in with the. So it's a 4 officially for Catch Me If You Can. I think that's a bit low, but
I
yeah,
think that's kind.
it's a bit dated now. I think it was. I don't even remember it being that huge at the time. Seeing it hitting every awards ceremony was a bit. Of a
I couldn't believe when you were saying how much money it made. It's like,
Yeah.
I reckon some cunts forged some checks right there.
There you go. Should have thought of it. Yeah, very good. Okay. Oh, actually, Chris's theme. Have you got a theme, Chris? I feel like
I
you
do,
have a theme.
yeah.
So Catch Me If You Can and Clerks 2. Right.
Is it films with zero action?
No.
Not action films. Are you? No, because no. I don't know. I don't have a guess for any themes. They're so separate. Clerks is a strange one because there's not much happening.
Oh, I've got it. I know what it is. Is it hiring prostitutes and people of the night?
Yeah.
No.
Paying people for sex acts. Is that?
Yeah, that's it. That's, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Clerks. No, it's not.
Pinky Kelly and the Sexy Star and then Jennifer Garner in this
Hold
one.
on, what's the next one? Rich?
Please, I'm
No, there is. No, it's not. But I've not seen the next one. But there is an inadvertent theme, which the next film begins with
And it's
C.
not sex workers. No, it's not.
So
what it is.
It's
there's
sex
Clerks,
workers.
Catch Me If You Can, and the next one begins with C as
yeah.
well.
All right,
Yes,
that's
yes.
film to be able to see. Right, I give up then. I think Andy's got the best guess we could possibly have at this point. So next time is me with my themeless season. Me just picking films that I wanted to do on the podcast. You guys are probably going to tell me that there is a theme. I have changed what I was going to do because of some similarities to Catch Me If You Can, which it will return because I've got my 5, so it'll be back, but I'll talk about it at the time. So 1999, a wee bit back from when this film came out. A
That's a hit or miss year.
fantasy comedy drama.
Hmm.
I'm reasonably confident that you might both not have seen it before, but we'll see. Starring some people we've never really done before. John Cusack, definitely never done him before. Cameron Diaz, I think we've somehow managed to avoid Cameron Diaz. Catherine Keener, not a big star, but most importantly, this film stars John Malkovich. We're doing Being John Malkovich.
Oh, I was going to say point goes blank when you said John Cusack.
Yeah. Have you seen this one, Andy? You nodded there.
Yes.
I've seen it.
Oh, you've both seen it before?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I've only
John
seen it once.
Malkovich.
I thought this was very cult, very indie, that you guys might not have actually got to it, but that's good. I saw this one in the cinema, weirdly, so we'll mention that on the podcast. So 2 weeks' time, not your usual 7 days, 14 days. See if you can find Being John Malkovich. It might be a hard one to find, but it was popular enough. And we'll see you next time on the 10 Point Podcast.